When we picture ancient India, the mind usually goes straight to austere sages meditating in the forest, strict religious rituals, or the massive battlefields of epic poetry. We rarely picture citizens chasing each other down to shoot off bamboo squirt guns. Ancient manuals codified the pursuit of fun into a rigorous science, outlining specific methods and seasonal schedules for every form of public play. These manuals were written for a very specific type of person, the Nagaraka. This was the urbane, highly cultured city dweller who viewed structured leisure as a civic responsibility. The Nagaraka meticulously engineered their playtime, from constructing elaborate water parks to organizing strict, rule-bound flower wars. They used recreation to build community, pool their wealth, and showcase their absolute refinement. To understand the complexity of this society, we have to look past how they survived and examine exactly how they engineered their joy. The Indian summer is famously brutal. For the refined Nagaraka, swimming in unpredictable, muddy, wild rivers lacked the necessary control and safety for high-status recreation. For summer water sports, the Nagarakas commissioned heavily engineered stepwells like this. These geometric staircases offered escape from the heat. Texts strictly ruled that these artificial pools be aggressively curated, completely free of crocodiles, and their perimeters perfectly secure. The manuals also insist that water games remain a summer activity. During any other season, the shivering and physical discomfort of repeatedly diving in and out of the water would ruin the elegance of the performance. For the ancient elite, true luxury required modifying the landscape to completely eliminate environmental threats before the games could begin. As the weather cooled, the structure of play shifted. The culture demanded massive pan-Indian festivals that required heavy community participation. The games matched the seasonal atmosphere. During the light of the yakshas, citizens gathered to gamble until dawn. Later, under the bright autumn full moon, they set up massive swings and engaged in public games of chance. And then came the massive spring festivals, which were dominated by highly coordinated public music and dancing. Throwing parties of this scale required a sophisticated financial engine. This was handled through Samasya Krita, a system where citizens pooled their individual wealth to fund the celebrations together. This ancient system of community-funded events relied on high levels of social trust and economic collaboration to function. Outside of national festivals, regions developed specific hyper-local games tied to their geography. Some groups organized games around roasting raw fruits over open branches, while those living near the lakes made a sport of eating lotus stalks. The most famous was the Kadamba Yuddha, or Flower War. The rules here were strict. Players divided into teams and were only permitted teams soft Kadamba flowers as projectiles. The texts explicitly warn players against playing like the people of the Pandra region, who reportedly ruined the elegance of the game by using sticks and bricks instead of blossoms. Adhering to these strict codes of fair play and non-violent etiquette acted as the ultimate dividing line between a cultured citizen and an unrefined outsider. The Nagaraka's playbook was comprehensive. It required engineered safe zones, collectively funded festivals, and strictly regulated regional games. The text offers one final instruction. To maintain the integrity of the community, these games must only be played with qualified and appropriate people. Within this urban world, highly structured leisure served as the ultimate proof of a stable, functioning society. Coordinating nationwide, crocodile-free, community-funded festivals demonstrates a level of civic organization that remains one of the most complex achievements of the ancient world.